Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anytime you get to watch this. This is your brother and friend Jojo of Demons Media. Take a moment, subscribe to this channel, and let's do this as a family. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds for you to do that. Are you done? Today I'm going to speak about our politicians. I'm narrowing this video down to my home country, Ghana. And we're not going to bash our politicians. I mean, I really wouldn't want to bash politicians and stuff, but I think there are certain things that we need to address. We're looking to build our country through conversation because we're in a democratic dispensation. What that means is that we can judge all. We can have a conversation. Sometimes we talk. We have brilliant politicians, well-read politicians. We have politicians that are very intelligent and very wise, whereas some of them to come across below what we expect. But hey, end of the day, in as much as they might fall below certain standard, doesn't make them any less humans to represent a group of persons over there in parliament. Now, we vote them into power. We give them our power, and so therefore they go over there to represent us, to speak on our behalf and present our needs to the executive so that things could get done. Now, in representing us, we get taken advantage of, and this is not something that only happens in Ghana. It happens all over the world. Politicians end up taking advantage of the people that had given them the mandate to go out there and do the right thing. It's worldwide phenomenon. It's not peculiar to Ghana. When we put that one aside, what am I talking about? Today, my conversation is going to center on politicians, the law, and how they go about things. I mean, first thing first, I believe that if you're a politician, then you are called a public servant. Because it's the public that mandated you. It's the public that gave you that chance to go over there and represent them. So you are there because of the public. Now, if you are there because of the public, then I don't see why sometimes it is difficult for you to let things out into the public domain. If only you are doing the right things as the law mandates you to do or as is expected of you, then I don't think you should be afraid to let things out there in the public domain. Do you agree with me? Bear with me. Just stay with me. We're going somewhere. Stay with me, all right? We're going to take it bit by bit. This is the reason why I'm saying this. It became necessary, I think, in the 1992 Constitution for them to enshrine in the Constitution that if you're taking public office, then certain things are supposed to be in public. Agreed. Okay. Now, as certain things are supposed to be in public, i.e. your properties, your liabilities, and all of those things, the citizens have to know. And then you declare it before you take or when you're taking office. And then an audit is done when you are leaving office. Just so we know that if you have acquired something through illicit means or conflicts of interest, then the law, obviously, since the law frowns on that, then the law will deal with you accordingly. They call it asset declaration. Certain persons in certain offices is expected of them. Did we coin this thing? We did not. Did we learn it elsewhere? Yes, we did. The places where we learn things from, I believe we learn these things, so we bring them in, and then in the end, we take some out, we add some. That is expected. There's nothing wrong with that. So if that is what is going on, but somebody's going to ask, what are you talking about? What is wrong with that? There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is not what I'm saying. There is nothing wrong with that. But my main issue here is the law that is made. There is something that I've gotten to know, and I thought I was going crazy. Until recently, now I got to know that actually I'm not going crazy. It is what it is. In every country, laws are passed. Obviously, laws are being put together by human beings. And I believe the human beings that are putting laws together, they are aware that there will be conflicts of interest and they will be guilty of those conflicts of interest. They will be making wealth in a bad way that is at the detriment of the citizens of that nation. In as much as they want to come over there and pretend to us and make us feel like, oh, we are here for you. We are here to do things to make life easier and to make things easier for you. Well and truly, they only mean 10% of that. 90% is of their own interest. The reason why I'm saying 80% is of their own interest is that when the laws are done, you realize that the law only deals drastically with an average person. When it comes to the people that put the law together, they create it in such a way that it will not really hold them down the way it will hold an ordinary person, and permit me to use the word ordinary citizen down. Now, in Ghana, as we introduce the asset declaration, there are laws backing it up. The article states that one is supposed to declare their assets to the Auditor General. That's in Ghana. I took my time to look into, for instance, places that we go for help, or places that they come in to help us financially every now and then. I mean, I'm glad that now we are beginning to put ourselves together in such a way that we might not need aid from other countries. I think one way or the other we might need aid up until a certain point that we will be self-reliant, and then we're not going to need aid. I pick a country like, I think it's America. This is very, very elaborate. It's very, very elaborate. But in order not for us to go through all these things to make the video so long, and for me to bore you, let's take a country that is closer to where I am, Spain. In Spain, when a politician is declaring their asset, there is an organization that you declare your assets to. Now, that organization, I think, is Conflict of Interest Offices or something like that. You declare it to them. There is another organization. Now, the first one, which is Conflict of Interest Office, they take it and they scrutinize it. And then it is their responsibility to make it public. Public in such a way that anybody can access that file if you need it if you need to access it. It will be made public. Now, the organization that goes in, they make sure that, okay, they are working hand in hand. And whilst you are in the office, you do this. When you are leaving the office, they audit it. Once again, to avoid illicit ways of making wealth and conflicts of interest. Just so it puts the politicians in check. And then it helps build confidence and transparency between the politicians and the citizens. I think it makes sense like that. Now, this is when you go to Transparency International and you read these documents, it states that each and every country adapts ways and means they want to do this. In France, a little bit different. It's not every politician that is mandated to do that, but those ones that are mandated to do that, I think there isn't even a penalty, or they don't penalize people that are not able to do it. But I think the one who is supposed to, by hook or by crook, is the president, something like that. I'm not very sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. So in Ghana, when it is done, apparently, and we don't get to know what is in there, 3 departments are allowed to go for it. A court of competent jurisdiction, commission of inquiries, and then you have special investigator appointed by Human Rights and Administrative Justice. These are the 3 departments that are allowed when it has become necessary for them to demand the detail of that which you have presented. How do we hold our politicians responsible, accountable? How are we able to do that when we don't have such information by very, very limited persons that can be manipulated or that can be influenced, that are allowed? These people, it's just like it's enclosed. It's enclosed to the extent that you, the average person, can't. In as much as somewhere along the line we have passed right to information bill, but is it really active? How many people are able to access these things? So, end of the day, is it just a facade? Is it just a gimmick? Is it just do something for the sake of doing them? Just do stuff to tick the boxes, and so therefore, once the boxes are ticked, then that is it. I think we are at the dispensation where we need to have some conscience. If you are taking office, have your people at heart. At least, if it's not going to be 50%, let it be a little bit more than 50%. We all see our politicians enrich themselves, and this is something that is common. Enrich themselves have all it is that they will have, apart from all those things that are added to their salary, the advantages and everything that the perks that comes with the position that they hold. They take advantage of us because we can't check conflicts of interest. We can't check illicit ways of making money. We can't check the corruption that goes in there. 3 departments, only 3 of them are allowed to go for this information. So why do you call that asset declaration? You're declaring it to who? We that gave you the power to be there to represent us. We can't even have access to such information. How fair is that? Spain will make it public. Once again, this is what I'm saying. These are the places we go for help. These are the people that come to our aid every now and then. They are not taking their people for a ride. We've been taking our citizens for a ride for a very long time. One party will go into a position and we'll be crying foul. We'll be saying, oh, corruption. These people are corrupt. They are doing this. They are doing that. They are doing this. They come to power and you don't see anyone being held accountable. Everything is swept under the carpet. Business as usual. I think we have come to a point where we need to know that it is no longer business as usual. There's one thing that I love about Gen Zs. Whatever they do, they bring a different style and different forms all together into it. If Generation X has not been able to do it that way, and the millennials tried it, the Gen Zs are really doing it. But the saddest thing here, the Gen Zs are even influenced in a very corrupt way. How do we fight it? We cannot fight corruption down to zero, but at least something has got to be done about it. A rich country like Ghana, if there's been time to be proud as a Ghanaian, is now. If there's a time to be very proud as an African, and it's a beautiful thing to be an African, it's now. But then sometimes when you look at the way things are being handled down there, it's sad because most things don't make sense. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. It's not rocket science to know that certain things don't make sense. If really I get it, you know, I understand it. For instance, it's a whole business to be a member of parliament. This is what I mean. Literally, we are all corrupt from top to bottom. Because delegates will take money before they accept you for you to stand. After that, the people that are going to vote for you need money to go into their constituents and possibly into their houses to convince them and to tell them as to why they should vote for you. But well and truly, if you're doing something brilliant, you're doing something good, you don't need to pay anybody to do anything for you. Let your good work speak for itself. Let your good work speak for itself. We are declaring assets to who? To a court of competent jurisdiction, to an investigator appointed by Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and then commission of inquiry set up by this article. So these are the 3 departments that can have access to your file. And these are not the 3 departments that voted you into power. These are not the 3 agencies that made you who you are, that made you a member of parliament. It took the entire nation. Something needs to be done. Now, politicians come to power their first 6 months, they're trying to throw dust in our eyes like they are doing that which they promised to do. Once again, I'm not singling out one particular political party. The 2 main political parties operate on the same lines. They throw dust in our eyes like they're doing it. Oh, we told you we'll do this, we're doing them. We promise you this, that's what we're doing. Give it 6 months and it's business as usual. Give it 6 months tops. It's business as usual. The things that when they were in a position, they saw as corruption, they deemed as corruption, they end up doing the same, if not more. Taking us for granted, we're taking us for a ride. I do know that we are contributing factor. We contribute to us being taken for a ride because one, the journalists that is supposed to help, as in the media that is supposed to help, educate, inform, and entertain the persons, they only entertain. The education aspect is low. The information aspect is skewed. Everybody is more or less like, what do I stand to gain? Apart from that which I stand to gain, I'm not interested. It took some people their lives to gain independence, for you to be free, not to have Oyibo, not to have a white person ruling over you and trampling on your rights and beating you up. And no, you understand? Some people have to put on hold their lives. They are literally their lives for us to gain that thing called independent. For you to come in and at the back of that, this is how you go about things. We deserve better. We deserve better. When they are in a position, they have fantastic plans. When they come into power, it looks as if all the plans have dissipated out of their heads. They start talking anyhow. They start doing things anyhow. Sometimes you hear politicians speak and you ask yourself, seriously? Are you really saying this? Are you really doing this? Who do you think you're talking to? These are the people that gave you their vote for you to be there. And you open your mouth and you just speak. Power enters your head and you start behaving like, we deserve better. We really do deserve better. Let us learn. Let us jojo. Let us share ideas. And I believe there are certain things that are innate. They are innate in a way that you know, you can tell, you can feel that this is wrong, yet you're doing it. People are dying. People are going. And once again, it's hard to bash just politicians because, as I'm saying, we are just corrupt from head to toe. Corrupt. Everybody wants to suck everybody. The politician is sucking us. We amongst ourselves as well, we're sucking up. But there is something that we need to look into. Apparently, there are two. When you put two different kinds of ants in a jar, the red ants and the black one, when you put them in a jar, as long as you don't shake it, they are in harmony. The moment you shake it, they begin to kill themselves. Why? Because they've not found out that the power is not within. It's whatever shook the jar is from outside. So we need to start thinking outside the box as in why. I get it. We will say that it needs to start from the top to the bottom. But there is something that we can do. We at the bottom can influence the top as well. If only we are willing to build that kind of society. It does not lie on the shoulder of a small group of persons. This is what I mean. If you come to me to give me money to vote for you, that alone should let me know that you're not ready. You are not competent enough. You're trying to buy something that you can't really offer. All right? And then I take the money and I vote for you. So I'm literally fueling the corruption. I'm helping you become more corrupt, because as I was saying, after all of these things, when they get to parliament, they have spent a lot of money. And they will continue to spend because people are going to them for school fees and for hospital bills and for this and for that. And it's expected of you for you to be attending funerals and parties and stuff like that. And you don't go empty-handed. So all of these things, they have to find ways and means to fund them. So that next 4 years, you will find them as, yeah, this is one of us. And so vote for them to continue. So the cycle continues. And if the cycle is going to continue, we're going to be doing things business as usual. How do we turn our society around? Galamsey is killing us. Can you really blame them? There ain't no job for them to do. So in this case, they have to do what they have to do. They don't want to go and steal. Can we curb it? Yes. Can we do something about it? Yes. Could we sit down and share ideas and make sure that the rules and the regulations that will be put in place are obeyed? You send the law enforcement officers and they get compromised. You send the army, they get compromised, because everybody that gets compromised is hungry. Having said that, is that how it is like in the Western world? Do they get compromised? Yes, they do. Big time, in a very different way and on a different level. They do get it. But in the end, are they able to do something, offer something to make things a bit better? Yes. Why can't we do same? People will take people's money to do stuff and they won't do it. Our politicians are doing it. We are doing it. Who is pointing finger at who? Because you, the person who is pointing a finger at the other person, you are as guilty as the other person is. Thank you, Your Excellency, John Dramani Mahama, for telling your people to do their assets declaration. Thank you very much for saying that you set up a commission or whatever for constitutional review. I hope this is part of the review that will come up. That certain information will be made public for us to have access to, so therefore we can scrutinize things the way it ought to be scrutinized. I get it. The negative aspect of things is that people get to know your financial and other stuff. They may tag you, I get it. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm saying. The properties that I have on this planet Earth, I can literally tell you how I came by them. So therefore, I don't have a problem to declare them when necessary. because I didn't take anybody's money. It's my hard work that has earned me those things. You understand? Can you say the same as a politician? You can't. Have conscience. And what breaks me is that some of them will go to the mosque on Friday. Some of them will go to church on Sunday. They are church elders and whatever and whatnot. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Sometimes these things gets to me, and then you come sit down and your fellow human being, you're taking advantage of them. Who does that? What conscience do you have? We need to do that which we need to do. We can do better as people. Ghana is a small country and so rich. We're supposed to be working 2 days and having 5 days as weekend based on what God has blessed us with. But how do we do these things? I'm sitting out here and ranting. I'm sorry that I have to do this, but hey, everything I'm saying here is my take. Once again, take a moment and subscribe to this channel, and let's do this. These are some of the contents that I'll be putting out here as it has become necessary for us to add our voices so that it will reach the corridors of power and things can be done differently. Not business as usual. But at the end of the day, as I keep on saying, what do I know? But still, it's my take.